Alright, welcome back everybody to Cole's Farm, North Carolina. It's September 22nd. It's about 1:30 in the afternoon. This is week 24's inspection. The temperature right now, it's 83 degrees and feels like 86. Humidity's at 63%, and the weather bug app has the pollen at 7.2, which is medium. And like weeks in the past now, ragweed, grass, and chinnipods are the predominant pollen sources. So this is a first. This is actually 19 days since the last inspection. 16 days, obviously it was 3 days ago on Tuesday. I was waiting for the apivar to show up so I could treat all the hives at once, which is why I postponed the inspection until today. And learn something new with my mentor each week. So I keep checking for swarm cells and supersedral cells. Mainly just being new, my first year, and not knowing better, that it's not exactly swarm season, so kind of unnecessary, but probably still a good practice. That was one of the reasons I kept checking or kept inspecting the hives within that 16-day window, just so they didn't swarm or supersede, but not exactly something I need to worry about right now. Definitely next spring. Like I said, I got the apivar, so that'll be part of the video later on. 2 strips per brood box, and then for this hive I whipped up 8 pounds of 2-to-1 syrup. I anticipate the syrup from 2 weeks ago being gone, so I got some ready so they can keep packing it away and storing it for the winter. So I'm going to pop the top and inspect what I will refer to right now as hive number 1, the original to Cole's Farm. I'm not sure if the camera's picking it up right now, but I got some extra deeps out here. A little bit of a beautification process. So these deeps have been out here for about 6 months now. So I'm just going to drop the frames into these deeps that I painted last week, and then I'll take those back to the house to paint them and get a good coat of exterior paint on them. And I plan on doing that for the rest of the hives next week, just swapping out one at a time and painting the ones that have been out here for a while. I believe this was the less full jar, so not much of a surprise. That's probably been long gone for a week or so. And then this being the original full jar has probably about a pound left. Holds about 5.5 pounds all the way to the brim. So if you figure that's about a fifth left, probably about a pound. just because I'm moving quite a few things around this week. Well, essentially all the frames from the current deep into the empty deep. I'm only going to show the frames that have something interesting to the camera, unlike weeks in the past where practically showed every single frame, just to kind of speed things up so I'm not out here too long. Though nothing terribly interesting, this is frame number 3. This definitely has some weight to it, and the camera probably can't see it, but they are definitely storing away the sugar water. So hopefully they start capping it so they can use it during winter. And there's a lot of nice pollen being stored as well, which makes sense now that I've seen the bees on the goldenrod. That is very close to the apiary. This isn't the first frame that I've seen eggs, but just felt the need to point it out. This entire left side of that new comb has eggs in practically every cell, and then more towards the center, a lot of spun larvae. This is the first little bit of capped honey I've seen in the top left. Well, if you come over about 3 inches and 2 inches down. And the outer frames are old, needless to say, which have had built comb for a while, and now it all has a sheen to it, which means they're storing that sugar water. I'd like to show this one. This is frame 3 of the bottom box, and I don't know if you can see it, but there is a ton of capped, or not capped, but stored pollen. All right, time to drop some maple bar in there. This is a first, so we'll see how this goes. Changing the camera angle for a second. The telescoping cover is what the camera was sitting on. Alright, well, you know, not exactly my finest hour. There was quite a few bees that died during this. That's the first time I've ever moved boxes around. That probably won't be happening too often. We're at 39 minutes, a little longer, but I was moving pretty slow. So I'm going to drop some apivar strips in the other hives and feed them as well, but not exactly necessary to record. So, you know, thanks for watching week 24's inspection. Didn't see anything abnormal. Didn't spot the queen, which is normal. It seems like they took the last, let's see, I gave them a full jar, which is 5.5 pounds plus half, so maybe 7.5 to 8 pounds of 2-to-1 sugar water. It looks like they've taken to that well a lot of stored nectar, which is the sugar water, in frames where nectar previously wasn't stored. So that's working, and in combination with the goldenrod in bloom, they're storing a lot of pollen, so I think we're on the right path. I was a little hesitant about feeding them just because I don't want them to get honey bound, but I think they have plenty of room. So I gave them another, let's see, 5.5, maybe 8 to 9 pounds of 2-to-1 syrup. So I'll check back in on them in about 2 weeks and see how they're doing. So that pretty much concludes it. Let's take a tour on the other side here. So this is the previous bottom deep and the top deep with the screen bottom board, and as you can see, the bees are kind of slow to leave. I'm just going to leave this like it is and come back in maybe an hour, and I'm thinking they will have migrated to their new home. I don't know if you can see it at the very bottom, but there's some very bright orange pollen in the honey basket or pollen baskets of some of the bees, which is awesome to see. So they're definitely bringing in food for brood. That's an easy way to tell if you got some brood being developed, if they're bringing in pollen. So like I said, I'll come back in an hour or so and see if all these bees have migrated into their new home once they pick up on the queen's pheromones, and once the pheromones kind of wear off in this box, and then I'll grab it and bring it in to paint it. That's really the prime reason I decided to move the boxes around. Just wanted to get a good exterior coat on them so they don't weather too quickly. Alright, well, that concludes it. Week 24, Cole's Farm. Thanks for watching.